Welcome back to After Hours, guys. Excuse me. Today we have the incredible Adrian Cox. A lot of you hopefully will know Adrian Cox as an amazing, kind of sober advocate, but also he's an awesome jazz musician, clarinet, who has been in many, many different bands over the years, including Bad Manners. And his story is just one of absolute craziness from the off. Adrian, he picked up the clarinet quite young, always wanted to be a musician, didn't really do academia, wasn't interested in school, said to the teachers, he's a bit of a lad. He was like, I'm not going to do that work that you're giving me. If there's anything else you want me to do, then I'll do that. He just kind of excelled in his musicianship, and had an amazing teacher who kind of mentored him and was like, yeah, if you want to do this, it's something that you need to really stick at. And Adrian did do that. Got kind of headhunted by I think it was two brothers, Russell and Richard. Hope I got the names right. Who were in a kind of trad jazz band. Their dad had seen him at a kind of Butlins holiday camp, and he'd been kind of doing a little bit on stage, and he was doing GCSEs, I think, at the time. He went on tour with them, came back, did his English exam, and then basically they asked him to join the band full time, and he went down and his parents got a bit of stick, but they were like, well, this is what you want to do, this is your dream, this is your career. Some kids leave at 16 and go and do their apprenticeships, whatever. This was what he wanted to do. So at 15, he moved to Totnes with the band. Richard or Russell, one of the younger one that was the brothers that became like his kind of partner in crime, was 26, and the brother was 29, and the rest of them were like 53, 60 in the band. Like a completely mad setup from the beginning. And it just went hell for leather, really, from that young age, because he's kind of living, in a house share with all these guys. As I say, the younger brother was his kind of partner in crime, and they would just drink like cooking sherry. This just kind of went on and on and on. At 21, he was having like kidney or liver pains, and the doctor said you need to stop drinking. So he did get a bit of a fright. I mean, understandably so at 21 or 22. So he gave up for 6-7 months, I think. He went back to doctors, and they said, "Yep, your liver seems to have repaired itself." And he was like, "So can I have a drink?" And they were like, "Well, we wouldn't really advise it, but can I have a beer?" And they were like, "Yeah, I suppose so." So he went to the pub on the way home. And I think within a couple of weeks he was right back to kind of where he was, and not long after that, I think about 2007, so maybe a couple of years later, he joined Bad Manners, and cocaine came on the scene. So that was really kind of where things started going crazy, if it's not crazy already, from a 15 to 21 year old that's almost got like scarring on his liver. So like, Adrian's just got an amazing story. He's an amazing guy. Just lovely to have him on the podcast and listen to his story. I've been following him for a number of years, and it was just so good to kind of chat to him. He's such a friendly, lovely guy to have a chat with. I feel like I've known him for years. We could have talked for hours, but it's a great episode. I hope you guys really enjoy it. And I'll be back at the end to see how you're all doing after Adrian's story. As always, guys, listen for the similarities and not the differences. Here comes Adrian. Cheers. Bye-bye. Adrian, welcome to After Hours, mate. It's so good to have you on and see you. How are you today?
I'm really well. Thank you very much for inviting me. Looking forward to having a chat. Can't wait.
Yeah.
I missed it last week when we were meant to record, so we get to do it now.
Not a problem, as I say. This will be coming out next year, so we're recording in
Oh,
November.
nobody ever knew that.
What's that?
Nobody would have known.
Nobody would have known. No, but I want to tell them that we're like, because today, I mean, I'm on the Isle of Man, but in the UK today, it's been this massive big freeze, and everyone's kind of crying because the schools are shut and all that. But where are you, Adrian?
So I'm in the south of Sweden, in a little town, in a little village called Easterby. But I don't know if anyone who follows football or follows Swedish or any football will have seen that this little tiny town called Mjällby
Yeah.
just won the Swedish Football League.
Oh, wow.
I'm not a big, but yeah, it's a town with 600 people in it. Anyway, that's the next town to us. So it's been crazy here. They're going to Europe and all of that, but it's cold today.
I mean, Adrian, if we're going to talk about football, I'm not a big football fan, but Scotland did really well last night. I mean, I was like literally on the side of the sofa. My middle stepdaughter was we were both swearing, like, blow that fucking whistle. It was like...
Yes, stop. I heard all about it this morning because we were watching the Sweden game, actually.
Yeah.
So I watched the first half of the. But I'm not a massive football fan. I used to play a bit when I was younger, but I don't follow it avidly. However, when the local team, which is just about to win, we're talking like tiny little village, and it's great. And the stadium there can only hold just under 6,000 people, and
So this is going to be.
Mjällby.
This is football all round, yeah. People have been, just loving it. So I mean, that's crazy. So, well, let's go back. Like, tell us about your childhood, because you didn't grow up in Sweden, did you, with that accent, mate? So tell us about your childhood and when you had your first drink.
Well, no. So I grew up in a little town town called Burgess Hill near Brighton.
I know it.
Yeah. That is the official title, Burgess Hill near Brighton, because no one's ever heard of it. It's on the train line from London to Brighton.
Yeah.
Upbringing was great. Music always been a strong thing. Being a musician. From the age of 6, I started playing music, playing clarinet, and then from the age of kind of 12, I was going out and playing gigs and doing stuff with my dad's band and socialising with a lot of a much older crowd of people.
Yeah.
And school was never really for me. I was very honest at school with the teacher of like, hey, look, I'm not going to do this work. Yeah. But if there's anything else you might want me to do, I'll go and do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, can you do this? Can you do that? And all the usual things at school. I was staying out, smoking. Started smoking early on, and that was it. And then a few parties and things at school in the school days. Meeting up in the park, having a few drinks, and stuff like that. And even back then, I think about it now. My girlfriend was asking me the other day, because she's got 2 boys who are that age, 16 and 18. So it's really strange to kind of actually put across your view, because if you were able to put to where you were back then, it's like, well, hang on a minute. So when I always took I'd always loads of spirits and everything. And then when I was 15 years old, I got the opportunity to join a band, a traditional jazz band, full time.
Wow.
Which was, so I was playing at a festival in Butlins in Bognor Regis when I was 15 years old in 1999. And I met this trombone player from another band who are a well-known established band in the UK.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, what are you doing at the moment? I said, well, my GCSEs. He said, well, great. Anyway, he said, my sons have got a band, my 2 sons, Richard and Russell. They're based in Devon. They play New Orleans music. They would absolutely love you. He said, what's your number? So I gave him my home telephone number. He said, right, what do you want to drink? He said, and at that time I'd always have an ale, because I worked out you get served if you said, oh, what ales have you got on? If you walk in and go, oh, what ales have you got on? My favourite.
Go in and asking for a pint of Stella. Yeah, they're like, oh, this guy.
You know what I mean?
About? Yeah.
It's amazing, So, and then he wrote this postcard to his sons that arrived at their house that said, met a lad, got no brain, but by chance plays the clarinet. Call him. And it had my number. And anyway, I get a phone call in the middle of my GCSEs, and they they say, "Oh well, look, do you want to come on tour with us?" So I go on tour with them in the end of May.
How old are these two brothers?
So Richard and Russell, the brothers, were 26 and 29.
Right.
And the rest of the band were like 53, 60.
Because I was going to say, you're talking jazz, you're not thinking, like, I don't know, like teenagers or whatever. I'm sure there are teenagers, but in those days it was kind of like, you're talking like...
Yeah, I mean, it's traditional jazz in playing old school New Orleans style jazz. So, of course, my mum and dad said, well, yeah, it's what you've always wanted to do and what you want to do.
That's
so
cool.
I went on tour with them.
Yeah.
Did 5 shows with them. They dropped me back for my English exam. And then a week later, they called me and they said, we'd love you to join the band, but you got to move to Devon, Totnes in Devon.
Yeah.
So I was like, so mum and dad, they got a lot of stick for it, my mum and dad, because, letting me leave home at 15. I left home. Yeah. That was it. Left school, left home, and I moved down to Devon, and that was it. And I joined this band.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say rock and roll, but jazz lifestyle. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it was about as rock and roll as you could get at the time. And we were living in Totnes, and that was it then. 326 shows we did in the first year, touring all over the UK.
Exactly. That's almost one a day. Yeah, you're literally getting like just over a month off. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and so we were just traveling all the time, getting the bandwagon, drinking, partying, smoking, and obviously I'm not living at home. I'm paying rent. I'm doing that. Suddenly become an adult very, very quickly, but however, I was living with people who, like, one of them was sort of really together, and the other one was more together than you think, but was a total party animal.
Yeah.
And we were the two who hit it off, and like it was my best mate. In the band, we lived together. I mean, the stories, in the first month that we moved into one of our flats, we cleared away out of the cupboard 80 litres of sherry. That was in the first month. What we used to do was we'd go down the pub, we'd have a couple of pints, and then we'd go to Safeways, buy a litre of Manor Hall cooking sherry each, and it was like $1.95. Then we'd go and sit by the river, drink that in about 20 minutes, and then go back down the pub drinking. And of course, even then, everything, like he was a massive, unfortunately, but not surprisingly, he's not with us anymore. So there's like immediately into this world of where everyone's older than me, everyone's drinking. Drinking seems to just be a normal thing, but also at that level of drinking was just it. And I took it on board as, I just became a huge drinker back then, and would think nothing of having, I could 3 or 4 bottles of wine, go down the pub, 10 pints,
and
then
such a young age as well, though, Adrian. And it's like, were your mum and dad, were you in kind of chats with them every other day, or not for a while?
When I first moved away, because we're so far away, and it's like just pre-mobile phone, like mobile phones just come in.
But
they bought me a mobile
expensive,
phone.
So you're not having one,
Well, I did have one,
right,
which they paid the bill, but then the bill was costing about 250 quid a month. So I'm down in Devon, and then I met up with them for the first time after 3 months of being down there. However, I'd already, after the first 6 weeks, I'd got into debt with not paying some bills at the house, but also that was within situation, not passing any blame, but everyone in the house hadn't paid the bills, so I just didn't know.
And so if you've got these peers that you're kind of looking up to and taking kind of, learning from, and they're not doing it, then why are you going to start doing it? Do you know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Like you've got an adult looking after you, and it's like, well, whatever,
And everyone was just having a really, especially my friend Russell, like everyone was just having what seemed like a really, really good time. And so I sort of fell into that. And but I'll tell you what, just fast forwarding a little bit to like now, I'm sort of learning a lot more about now. And like, actually, my go-to response was always, hey, no, but my drinking just came out of this, and everything was fine, you know, and it was like, hey, I was fine, yeah, everything, and it came out of a really happy place. There was no kind of that. But actually, now that I'm doing a lot of work on myself, over these last 8 months, actually, which is, I've been going, hang on a minute, and it's been with actually living with my girlfriend and her boys, like noticing that at the age of 17, 18, they're still extremely vulnerable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like, you know, actually, you know, that they might ask questions that to me are like, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't have that support network, or I didn't feel like, you know, I didn't feel unloved or anything like that. But I didn't have that reassurance, or I didn't have this. But actually, it was all okay because I was blacking out every night and then wake up in the morning, and that's what everyone around me was doing. Not everybody in the band was doing that. It was me and my mate Russell, and his brother was running the band, so he was driving everywhere. But then, of course, there was everything. There was smoking weed, magic mushrooms. You know, all of that went on solidly for about 5.
Did it affect your playing at all? I mean, obviously, I've heard you, and you're absolutely amazing. But like looking back, where you still perform? Because the thing is, like, the music industry's got a lot to answer for, and I'm talking about, like, you know, I mean, the word session comes from, I think, the old Irish, when they get in the pub and they have a music session, and that's like, you know, because it's hand in hand. People are playing in bars and all this. I've got a lot of friends over here that are musicians, and they drink a lot because that's what they're used to, and that's the industry. So, you know, for you,
I mean, I think that's the thing. I look at it. I look back at what you know, I realise now that I could have been performing a lot better. However, at the time, I still feel I was playing at the best of I could have been at my capability, which was still at a high level.
Yeah.
But actually, the high level could have been up here.
Yeah.
But you know, so
but you're learning life skills as well, so it's kind of like you're taking the kind of, you know, better with the sweet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing learning curve for life, you know, of just getting evicted from places, not paying bills, but not having a bank account, not having anything, just existing and making money from playing music, but
and
also having nothing.
Just having adventures, like, you
know, just traveling all around. So that was my first 5 years of you know, when it got to my 18th birthday, it was like, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I can drink now, great. But I mean, by that point, you know, and I'd noticed a few issues, like I'd had pains in my kidneys, and I stopped for 2 weeks. And then I kind of settled back in and stuff, and settled back into drinking, you know.
Yeah. Once you've given it a rest, yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. Just working so hard, like gigging all the time, learning, not really know where your next meal's coming from. I mean, it wasn't
really much.
It wasn't always like that. Some days it'd be, if we were playing at a festival, you know, there would be food there, you know.
Yeah.
But the next 3 days when you get home, literally you go, well, I've got, you know, we were on 50 quid a gig, basically. That was it. Between 30 and 50 quid a gig.
Each.
So you literally, each. So you literally go, okay, right, I've got 30 quid to spend until tomorrow night when I get some more.
Yeah.
And it would always be tobacco over food, and it would always be alcohol over food. Yeah. And so that was completely my normal and to be honest, people would say, oh my God, we're worried about you. Oh, we're this about you. I would see my mum and dad every kind of sort of 3 or 4 months, not going home for a holiday, just they would come to a gig if we were playing nearby.
Yeah.
And everything there was fine. You know, obviously we missed each other and stuff, but there was, and it must, I look back at it now and I was a fucking nightmare, you know.
And
but they weren't seeing a lot of it.
No, they're not seeing that at all. Like, whenever you speak to them or see them at the gig, you're probably on your best behaviour and kind of going, "Oh yeah, everything's good. You know, I'm eating well and I'm exercising and I'm."
Well, I always remember that. So my mum saw me really pissed out my head, like when I was a little bit older when I moved back.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I had 4 pints at the pub," and then I remember we were all out one time and I'd had about 8 pints, and she was like, "Oh, well, you seem to be doing better on these 8 than you were on the 4 the other day." But the thing is, my mum doesn't drink. My dad doesn't really drink. You know, it's
So
There's none of that.
they're not really sure of what that level can be. And have you got brothers and sisters? You got any siblings?
Yeah, I've got a sister. Yeah, and she doesn't really drink. She came down to visit me in Devon.
Yeah.
And
Was she older or younger? Is she older?
Older.
So was
I got her
she
to drink
doing the academic thing and all that, and then you're just off doing?
She had done school and she didn't want to go to college and all of that. She had a Saturday job in the greengrocers.
Right.
And she said to Mum and Dad, "Can I just work there? I love it." They were like, "Yeah, if you want, do that."
Yeah, I mean, your parents sound amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like giving you the opportunity to just go and
They're
do
absolutely
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like completely incredible. Mind you, saying so. Fast forwarding from that 5 years down there, then I move up to London and I moved to London, somewhere I said I'd never ever live.
Yeah.
Like because having gone to Devon, so and then I get up to London, I join this next band that I join, TJ Johnson's band, and that band's a bit more drink orientated rather than smoking dope.
Right.
So
I see. Yeah.
and it's a bit of a heavier drinking scene.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's on like proper
Not
drinking,
just you
and
and
again
Russell, everyone's on it in the band. Yeah. Yeah.
everyone. So and then I immediately become friends with the guitar player in this band, and like, so we become. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. So
Sorry, mate.
so you can see the kind of he unfortunately drunk himself to death. So that was 2004. I moved to London. I do that. I get married in 2005. And then like after we'd been married for about 4 months, then I went to the doctors with pains in my liver, and they literally said, "You've got a swollen liver. You've got to stop drinking immediately." So I did, and that actually scared me, and I stopped for maybe 7 months, I think.
And what were you, 21, 22?
21 at that time.
Yeah.
22, just hit 22. Yeah. So then I stopped, and then I go back to the doctors after the 6 months or whatever it was, and they said, "Oh yeah, it looks like your liver's repaired itself." I said, "Oh, so could I have a drink then?" They're like, "Well, we don't recommend it. You know, you're alcoholic." And I was like, "Well." But I could, yeah. And then on the way home, I went to the pub, and then the next day went to the pub, and then I was back on.
You're back on.
3 bottles of white wine, 10 pints of Guinness a day.
Yeah.
And it was that quick. And so I did all of that, got divorced, moved back in with Mum and Dad. Then I moved to London, had various other things. Then of course, cocaine comes on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like cocaine's banging around from about 2007, to which I take very partial to that as well. Yeah. So then I'm still in that band. Then I joined a band called Bad Manners.
Oh yeah, which we've heard of. Yeah.
So then which is literally the biggest party band on the. I've seen and been around many bands, and every band's got a story about hanging out with us. It's like. So I joined them in 2009. Drinking just go like, and it's completely warranted and qualified and quantified within that. There's
it's in the name, isn't it? It's in the name, Bad Manners. It's like, do whatever you want.
It on the tin. So it literally party like mad. That's the kind of thing. Wake up on the tour bus in America. Wake up in the middle of the night, drink a bottle of tequila, go back to sleep. Wake up, smoking all day. As much cocaine as you could possibly shift up your nose, So to be honest, it was complete party the whole fucking time. And bearing in mind, I'm managing the band as well. Yeah. So I'm setting up all the tours, arranging all the bands, arranging everything, and I've still got
managing that. How were you managing?
I don't even know. I have no idea. Right. Anyway, and then there's stories of that just go beyond. Yeah. This is a very version of it all, but to get to the point. So 2014, we're just about to go on tour with Bad Manners, and for the few months before that, I've had this pain in my hip, and I'm like, in my leg, going, this is annoying. I bought a bike.
Delivered. Yeah, okay.
No, so it's like in my hip, in my leg, and I'm like, it's a bit annoying. What's this? So I had an MRI scan, and I had to go to the hospital to pick up to see the results. Yeah. So this was 27th of March, and weirdly the night before I went to the hospital was the biggest amount of drinking I'd ever done in my whole entire life. It was like a box of wine, like 10 pints of Guinness, 3 bottles of champagne, maybe 5 grams of Coke.
Yeah.
Like it was fucking monumental, like in under standards of like pretty. And I'd had some big days, you know. Anyway, so I go to the hospital.
Sorry, Adrian, how old were you at this point when you've?
At this point, I am 30.
Right. Okay.
31. 31.
Yeah.
So I go into the. No, I'm 30. Yeah, I'm 30 at this point. Yeah, I'm born in 1983. So 2014, I'm 30 still.
30 still, yeah.
March.
Yeah.
Yeah, until July. So I'm 30.
Yeah.
And I go in.
Old
and the
enough to
doctor
know
sits
better,
down.
Adrian. Old enough to know better. Like your 20s are done. You should be settling down and getting on with things.
27 club, you know.
Yeah.
So I go to see the specialist, and I sit down, and he says, all right, I've got 2 bits of bad news for you. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. What's that then? He's like, right. He's like, you've got to stop drinking for good. He's like, this is your warning now. You have to stop drinking for good. And then by this point, I was looking a bit grey and yellow. However, I felt that I was about to go on tour that night with Bad Manners, like, hey, fucking, you know, ready for a party. And he said, you've got to stop drinking. Drinking's affected you, and it's affected your body. You've got a vascular necrosis caused by alcohol. So that's where the blood thins and cause death, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, when you see people hobbling around who might have had a bit, you know, of a life on drink, it affects you. So alcohol. So basically I said, all right, what's the next bit of bad news? They said, well, you've got to have a hip replacement. They said, your blood has thinned so much that it stopped feeding your bones. And the first place to go with in alcohol is the right, because your blood pumps around that way. So it's the last bit that it gets it. Yeah. So he showed me the X-ray, and there's the ball of the hip, and half of it was just crumbled away. He said that's why sometimes you get up in the morning and fall on the floor, and other times, you know. And I'm still trying to exist, like walking around. I've got crutches, going, oh, this is getting a bit worse.
Yeah.
So that's at the end of March. And that's when I stopped drinking then. So that was March 27th, 2014. And then he said, so you got to have a hip replacement because of alcoholic, they won't rush anything like that.
Yeah.
So they said, what we're going to do is we're going to have you come back in 3 months' time. We're going to see how it's progressed. And then we're going to watch you again in another 3 months' time, see how it's progressed. And then we're going to put in for an operation, which could be 6 months to a year.
Wow.
So I go out to Sweden to do a concert in Sweden in the April, and I'm on a walking stick.
But you're still with all of these guys in the band, and you're supposed to not be drinking.
Yeah.
Like that.
So actually, but the fact was, being told that almost helped me, because I was able to go, I finally got a reason.
Yeah. Literally, I'm going to lose my leg or whatever.
As stupid as that sounds, because you could have said to me, hey, stop drinking or you'll die. Yeah. But for some reason, that wouldn't have been enough for me.
No, you need to be told, you need to be proved that this is actually killing you. This is what's wrong with you.
And also, the fucking ego inside of me was like, oh yeah, I've won drinking, you know. And I still go, I'm lucky it didn't affect me, you know. And it's like, what do you mean you had a fucking hip replacement, you know? So I go out to Sweden to do this concert, and this lady who I've known for many years, she came up to me and she said, why are you on a walking stick? And I said, I've got to have a hip replacement. And she said, she was an old lady. She said, you have to go and see the guy that did my 2 hips. He's the best. His name's Jonathan Miles. He did the Queen Mum's hip and all of that. I said, well, I can't, like, how am I going to do that? She said, go and pay for the consultation. Yeah. And get the x-rays. She said, I'll pay for the operation.
What?
And I said, you can't do that. She said, I can do what I like. And I spoke to her family and was like, are you sure? So anyway, so I go 2 weeks later, I go for this consultation, and he said, well, yeah, you got to have a hip replacement. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, when do you want it? I said, what? I've never been private. I don't know what any of this means.
Yeah.
He's like, I can fit you in 10 days if you want. I said, hang on a minute. I've got to cancel all my gigs. I've got to do that, you know. And literally in the 17th of June, Now this was I went in and had the hip operation, full hip replacement. Took 3 months off work, off playing, and then I came back, and so that was that. But then after that, then cocaine completely took over. Gambling took over. I always gambled on horses, but then I was gambling and I fucking won. I nailed it. I won £138,000
Jesus Christ.
on online slots, online gaming. And I won that. However, within 3 or 4 weeks, I fucking spent the whole lot.
That's a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It wasn't enough. It wasn't
enough. You
So
won
I-
that. Yeah. Wow.
It was nothing to do with
And wait, but
drinking.
Had you stopped drinking at this point? So it was just.
So I stopped drinking, but cocaine I was still on.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, and I don't know about you, but with me, cocaine didn't really make me, like, it did do stupid things, but I was still compos mentis, whereas with alcohol, it was all bets are off. So, like, you know, like, you're still gambling away 130 grand without drinking.
Yeah.
That's madness as well.
I know to be honest, it was I spent a lot of it. No, I say a lot of it, not really that much. I spent sort of 10 grand on myself, and the rest of it I gambled away. I had it out; it was in my bank.
Yeah.
And then
can I ask,
put it back
Adrian,
in.
did you have a house at this point? Did you have, like, a mortgage?
No. I had a flat. I had a flat with my girlfriend, previous girlfriend, 2 before this. So we went. So then I gamble it all away, and then because I look after Buster's money from Bad Manners, I then fucking started spending that money to try and win it back. And then in the end, basically, I ended up like 87 grand in debt to him. And also, so for like 3 months, I lived like from January to April, I hadn't even told my girlfriend. And then from April to August, I was just like, oh, I don't know how to get it back. I don't know how to do this. And I was taking more cocaine and everything until I had this huge breakdown up in Edinburgh at the festival where I thought, oh God, we've got this venue where if I get enough cocaine, I can be the dealer because I'm working at the venue, playing at the venue. No one's going to suspect me as, mental, Anyway, and then I come back from Edinburgh. That story's crazy by itself. And I get back to London, and my girlfriend at the time there is going. She says, "I've called Buster." I get home and have a sleep, and then she wakes me up, and she says, "Oh, I've called Buster. I've told him that you've spent his money." I was like, "Fucking hell!" She's like, "Yeah, he wants to see you." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, of course he does."
I was going to ask, how did that conversation go? But she's already started it for you.
So then he came. She said, I said, well, tell him come. This was on a Sunday. I said, tell him he can come over Wednesday. And she was like, no, he's on his way now. I'm like, shit. And he's like 10 minutes away. And then I saw him and he gave me a big hug. And then he was like, oh. But she hadn't told him how much money it was then. And then he was like, how much you done? 10 grand, 20 grand? I was like, no. And anyway, and it went on. And then we got to that thing. Anyway, I paid him back in a year, just a year and a bit. And, and that was that. And then... But the thing was,
he obviously understood, and I'm sure he's seen people with, alcohol problems, gambling problems. So he wasn't straight away judging you like, get out of my life, I'm taking you to court. He obviously
not at all. But he did also say, he said, if you take cocaine again, that's it.
Right.
So, but the thing, so then I never touched cocaine since then, and then I dabbled with. I was then like, oh well, I probably still could take MDMA or ecstasy. So then for like that was August 2016, and then kind of I would say it was September 17. I had a bit of MDMA, and then I sort of was like, oh yeah, I can still take MDMA, and then it was just like, actually no, I can't, like. That was all done, and then so like at the end of 2018, that was all done. I was just like, got rid of all of that, and and by this point, it's like, so then it's COVID. COVID happens. I'm in another relationship at this point, and we moved around different places, and and then that was we were having our own things in that relationship. She I'm not going to go into what her things were, but so then it was, for me, it was a relationship that I should have gotten out of a long time ago, but didn't. And so therefore then I made it my thing to always be on tour. I was never home. I was simply never home. I was just like, I'll come home for one. We moved to a place, and I think I might have gone home maybe 8 or 9 times in a year and a half.
And that's the only time you're seeing her then. Yeah, she's not coming out.
Yeah. And that was it. And then luckily that split up. But I waited for her to, it was just, I was, you were just
doing your thing.
Stuck in that thing. And then now I'm living in Sweden with my girlfriend now, who we've known for since 2019. But we were, the first time we ever met, it was like bang, immediate, and we both had partners. So it wasn't anything, but all my friends and the guys in my band were like, okay, what the fuck was that?
That's amazing. Have you known each other for ages or no, just met? Yeah.
It was mental. And now it was like complete. So in January of 2023, I was like, hey, should we hang out? And then we met up and we were like, right, we're not going to get in relationships. We're not going to do that. And then as soon as we met, it was like, oh my God, it was you finally, And
I love that, man. I love that.
So that is it's like everything. It's like, oh my God, the relaxation of that, which was then able to put me in the right frame of mind to be able to sort all my tax stuff out, sort my driving license out. I'd never driven in my life, started driving, sorted out everything, set up a limited company in the UK, then closed limited company, got my residency in Sweden, done all of that. And the amazing thing was when I went for the residency meeting in Sweden, in the UK, I spoke to the guy and we got on really well. And it turns out he's in recovery, and it's like, oh, amazing. And then suddenly it's the fastest ever, literally, I saw him. We had the meeting and he said, oh, by the way, you need to email this lady as soon as you leave here and just say to her the days you're going to be in Sweden working, because you can't be in the country when you're waiting for the...
Right.
So once you go for the residency, I'm not allowed to go to Sweden until they make a decision.
Yeah.
So it was going to be, that could have been up to 16 months wait.
Wow.
The average time is about 8 to 10 months. Yeah. So me and my girlfriend had said bye to each other, and I was going back to the UK. I come away from the meeting, I email the lady, and within 2 minutes she emails me back and says, oh, I've just seen your interview come through. She said, I'll deal with it now. I get to my mum and dad's in Burgess Hill an hour later. I'm explaining this story and bang, comes through from the immigration. Yeah, you've been accepted. So I've got all
it's kind of like, sorry, Adrian, but it's almost like in this world in recovery, I meet so many fantastic, amazing people, and it's almost like there's the secret handshakes of the Masons. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, a friend of Bill's and all that.
Happens, it's like something happens. And do you know what? I literally been getting my whole life sorted and getting some big things done. Like alcohol, seems a long way away.
Yeah.
Like when I stopped that, it's 11 and it'll be 12 years in March.
I was going to say, yeah, well done, man. That's ages. Yeah.
Cheers. But the weird thing is, I got to February this year and I was like, oh my God, I feel, because that's the thing. When the cocaine thing and all of that ended, a friend, when I used to live in a pub in London, in the Nag's Head in Belgravia, the landlord there, he's got a very, very close friend who's AA. He sponsors lots of people. And he had reached out to me back in 2016. And I'd started the kind of AA route, but I realised now that I hadn't done anything to do with AA. I was just turning up at meetings and having a chat about myself and then going home going, yeah, I'm doing AA, but I wasn't at all. So this year in February, my brain's going like, like, my God. And I suddenly realised that I've done all the things like that I've meant to have done.
Yeah.
And I was just left with one big fucking problem, and that was me. And I hadn't done any of the dealing with myself or anything. So I phoned up Steve, he's my sponsor now, but I phoned him up and I said, all right, Steve. I said, do you know what? He said, yeah, go on. He said, I know exactly what you're going to say. I said, I said, I can't. I've done my tax, I've done my driving, I've got my residency, I'm living here, I'm fucking happy. I said, but my brain's all over the place. He said, it's all right. He said, come over and stay. He said, we'll go. I said, so I went over and saw him, and yeah, and literally got me going with AA, and
So doing your
I've been
steps and
working
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, working the steps. And what I'd realised was that literally I had done a lot of the work already.
Yeah,
I had actually done it. You know, people I'd pissed off, I'd actually
made
fucking
amends.
made amends with. However, I've been making amends with people on my list. I've gone through my list, admitted some really fucking full-on things to him, and also to my girlfriend now. I just told her like everything. It's
Yeah.
just like, wow, you know. So it's like, you know, and so now I'm doing it. It took this long for me to get there, but I realised I was putting like you do when you know, like ripping up a bill that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, yeah.
I was literally not dealing. I was going, well, I can't do that because I've got this to do. And even though I was sober and I'm sober and everything's fine, yeah, but I'm doing my tax at the moment, so I can't do this, or I can't put an amount of it. And then I was like, oh my God. And now this year it's been a tough one trying to live by the steps, because I realise, oh my God, yeah, I am the problem in all of the shit.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're able to go, okay, adjust yourself to what is, like, actually, it's like, shit. And it's amazing. I'm reading this meditation book today, and every day I read it, and it's always got something to do with like what I was thinking the night before or something. And that's because it's regardless of whether you're in recovery or not, it's just a really fucking lovely way to live your life.
That's what I say.
It's so
Clean up
nice.
your side of the street, all that kind of stuff. But also, like the realization that you've only just started dealing with yourself because you were traveling and doing all that thing with work. Like, okay, you got a girlfriend, but you'd rather be out on the road. So it's kind of geographicals in a way. Even though you're not drinking, you're still kind of just keeping on the move. Do you know what I mean? You're not sat in one place focusing on, like, right, I've got to do that. But now that you've started doing all that kind of stuff, like bills, tax, you know, driver's license, it's like, right, what's next? And I love that, man. I love that you're now like just at the right place, the right time to start dealing with this. And it's amazing.
You know what? I think it was actually the right time. I mean, you must have come across times where you've gone, oh my God, how did I ever get through that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because I'm 5+ years sober now, sober and clean. And
Yeah,
it's like,
so good, man.
thanks, man. The last 5 years have just been amazing. But there has been times when I'm like, oh, right, that's something I need to take care of, you know, because like over here in the Isle of Man, we have to do our own taxes. Like I work for myself, so I have to do that anyway. But even if you work in an office, you have to do your own taxes. Whereas back in the UK, when you worked in offices and whatnot, that was all done for you. You know, you got your wage back at the end of the month and the tax was done for you. And it was like, if you were lucky at the end of the year, you might get a rebate. No. Over here, everyone has to do their taxes. So the last 5 years, I've had to do so much growing up. Like I've said on the podcast, I started drinking at 14. So I've only just started maturing when I hit 40, when I got sober, you know, and it's like, and it's an amazing revelation because like you, I've got 3 stepkids. And they're getting, like, the oldest one's 15, so he's getting to that age. Well, he's older now than when I started drinking, and I don't think he has. He might have tried a beer, but he's not gone out and had a drunken session yet, you know. But I know that that's gonna be round
How
the
do
corner
you
at some
feel about?
point.
How do you feel about how you will deal with any of that yourself? Do you have you thought about? Because you must have thought about this.
Oh.
What will I do in this situation? And because I'm literally going through that, and
Well,
so
they know my situation. They know they've never seen me drinking. Do you know what I mean? Because they come on the scene. Like I met Jen 2 years. Well, we're married a year. We've been married in August, but we've been together like 2 years, over 2 years now, and they know my situation. They've never asked like, oh, were you like an alcoholic or this and that, you know. But as they're getting a bit older, I think they're starting to work it out. Like I think they've seen my reels on Instagram and stuff like that. So they know the kind of crux of it all. Yeah. And so like, I don't know, it's a difficult one because I've had this overplayed in my head. And obviously, you know, Jen's their mother and they've got a father. So they're the main ones that are going to be like, but if I do find them like completely going off the rails, then it's time to have a conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that they're going to go out and drink, and I know they're going to do that from like maybe hopefully he'll be like 16, 17. I don't know if he even will. He's got ADHD. So
I think younger people are slightly different as well. I mean, especially out here, it's like I know that there was definitely a lot more drinking happening at the age of 16 than what there is going on here, it's funny because they know everything about my situation, and we talk about it, and they're they know everything, all the drugs, everything. So it's funny every time I say cocaine, I always go like that. Every single,
it's just
every time it just happens.
Have I got a bit? Have I got a bit? Is it there? Yeah.
Just like, but I said to my sponsor, I said, what do I do in this situation? He said, all you can do is, if you start telling someone not to do something, they want to do it. He said that is always the thing. He said, you've just got to show that there is a loving family, and if you are around people, if you are going to have a drink, make sure you're around safety, around people, and the boys here, if someone's had, because it's happened where someone's had too much to drink, one of their friends, but they will always call a parent and say, hi, this has happened. And it's like, and no one's actually going and judging them and doing that. And my partner, she doesn't really drink. She might have, the most she would have is 3 glasses of wine at the very most. So for me, sometimes it's kind of, if she said, do you think I drink too much? I'm like, no. I said, also how it affects you. It's like I'll say, and she'll go, oh, well, I haven't had a drink for 4 weeks. And then it's like, oh, I might.
Like,
and I always thought there was I was like, it's either you either drink or you don't. And it's only ever been since I've been out here. But that may just because of me changing, but noticing that actually there are some people who drink in moderation.
Yeah, but you know
and
what?
Some people,
I did not associate with those people. I was thinking about it today, and I met this girl, and we went out on a few dates, and I realised that she didn't drink. She did drink. She would have a few, but then she wasn't going out for a session, and I broke up with her because of that. So I didn't associate with people that could moderate. So in my mind, like you, I didn't know people that could moderate because I didn't.
Well, that's it. And you put yourself around those people. What I used to do was put myself around people who were a bit worse than me. Literally, until they all started to fucking die. Yeah. And then you go, hang on a minute. And then suddenly I realised that people were hanging around me because, well, I'm not as bad as him. Like, people were saying that about me. Yeah. Oh my God, well,
I would always find people, and this was relationships until it wasn't, but like, that wouldn't judge me because they wouldn't be saying, oh, have you had a bit too much tonight? I would just be like, no, get out of my life. Until it got to the point where I was like 40 and the partner I was with at the time, it was getting to breaking point because I was 40 and it was like, are you wanting to settle down and enjoy family life, or are you just happy to sit in a stupor all night, drinking vodka until you pass out and then get up the next day and do it again? So yeah, I mean, going back to what we're saying about the kids, like they've got to go out and experience it themselves. But I think, like what you're saying, the younger generation don't seem to be doing it as much, and I think it's because we've got video phones now, and they don't want to be caught on camera doing something stupid as fuck. Do you know what I mean? And like, if there was any videos of us back in the day, it'd be like, oh my God, it might be enough to have scared us away from it. I doubt it, but
I doubt it. But I do think I do think times are changing. I notice it here. Like they're really not thinking about that. No one. I don't think that the last time I saw somebody smoking in the area where we live. Do you know what I mean? But this, when I was 13, my mum would give me my money to get food at school, and it was like she used to give me £2.60, which was quite a lot. £2.60, but I could get 10 JPS for like £1.20.
Yeah,
and it's like, I can do that. That's cool.
10 fags. So I remember the days when you could get 10 fags, and it was like £1.20, £1.30 for 10 Regal King size, and I was on them, and it was Regal, that would do me for the day at school,
But I remember, exactly. I'd have a couple on the way to school, one at break time, 2 at lunch, 1 on the way home, and
or sell them to a couple of kids for £1 a pop. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's my fag money for tomorrow. Like, why
everybody wanted it.
Yeah.
But I think, that with, life away from all of that. It was quite a daunting thing to be told to stop drinking.
Yeah.
And I think that, at the time when I was told to stop drinking, because loads of people have been told to stop drinking and not stop, but I felt a big sense of relief, I feel like even from that age, just talking about, smoking at 13, like I wanted to be the one who had the cigarettes. I was always the one, if we went to a party as a kid, I was the one who would bring a bottle of whiskey. Yeah. I was the one who did that. I mean, all right, being, ego, not in the way of like, oh, me, but ego is in like, oh, right, I'm doing good. Right, I've got this.
Yeah. You're happy with your lot. I think Billy Connolly said that he gave up before the doctor told him to. So he thought it was a good idea. Like he could feel it was on the cards and he thought, nah. And I'm lucky like you. I've never had any touch wood ailments or anything that was caused by. I don't know how, because I speak to a lot of people who weren't even drinking as much as me and they've got issues. In fact, a girl that I went to rehab with, she died in June this year and she was only like 36 and she'd had cirrhosis when she came in. Like she'd had scarring on her liver when she came in, and that was 5 years ago. And we all thought like she was totally yellow jaundiced when she came in, and she got better. And I'd been keeping in touch with her over the years, but not, it's like she lived in Birmingham. I was up in, Leeds and then over here. And I thought she'd quit, I thought she was sticking to the program and doing it. And then I got a phone call from her sister in June and saying, yeah, she'd passed. And it was all like complete full-blown cirrhosis of the liver. And I was like, I had no idea. I don't think her family realised the extent that she was hiding it. And she's got 2 beautiful kids. And it's just, do you know what I mean? At that age.
It's so sad, isn't it? And it's so sad when because the other side of it is that's one of the things, people, people who don't get it when they say, someone who will say to me, well, you've cracked alcohol now, haven't you? It's like, no, actually, February last year was like, not that I thought I was going to pick up a drink or anything, but however, I was the furthest away from that, yet I had all this, it wasn't the feelings of having a drink, it was the feelings that were dampened by having a drink.
Yeah.
Because the brain was like, right, oh, now I've come back to the bare bones of the actual thing. Yeah. Like me, here I am, fuck, and I think, and it's so, you always want to tell people because you could, we can tell if someone's struggling with drink. And I always wonder when I say something, how do you broach that subject? Because I know that somebody's saying something to me, I would simply tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to make that choice themselves. And I've been asked. And
now I can see it was all out of love.
Yeah, but I've been asked by people like over here going, oh, I've got this family member or my wife or husband or father or daughter, whatever. And they're like, and I do peer mentoring at our local charity over here for addiction. And, but I'm like, I can't just go up to them and say, right, I've been told you need help. They've got to come to me. They've got to come wanting help, because when I would needed help in the past, I didn't do anything about it until I did it myself. You know what I mean? Until
Had you tried to stop? Had you tried to stop times before?
Oh, like many times. A lot of the times when I tried to stop was because people had told me you're drinking too much and this is becoming an issue. Like, broken relationships or losing jobs and ending up back at my parents' house. So many different things, but it wasn't like I was doing it for them. Do you know what I mean? So I would give up for a short period of time, and then I would be like,
and then there's that thing in your brain going, shit, I better start drinking again soon, otherwise I might have to carry on not drinking.
Always in the back of my head going, but you're going to drink again. You're going to drink again, until that last time 5 years ago when I was like, this is serious now. Like, if I don't stop, I'm going to lose all of my family. No one's going to be talking to me. I don't have a job. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm going to end up on the streets, and then I'm going to end up in death, dying, because it's going to be jail.
What was your first move to do that? What was your first move at the moment you decided? What was your first move?
So I was in hospital when I made that choice, and I said, so when they were going to detox me in the hospital over here, I just said, right, I'm going to do everything and anything I can to get sober. So I went to my local charity here, Motivate, and I did NA, CA, AA, SMART. I ended up doing like over 100 meetings in 90 days because it was COVID time as well. So
Wow.
we were doing them on
Yeah,
Zoom
right.
as well. So I was going to like Australia, I was going to Idaho, I was doing them in Utah, like online.
Wow.
I just threw myself into it. I was reading Quitlet, I was reading the big book. I was watching films on it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a Steve Carell film called Beautiful Boy,
Yeah.
28 days, 28 days later, but 28 days with Sandra Bullock. I was just immersing myself because I was over here. I didn't have a job. I hadn't started my gardening business, and I was just like, I cut myself off from social media as well, and I just was like, this is it, because if I don't, I'm gonna die, and I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't fancy doing that just yet. So yeah,
No, isn't it funny that you know that you don't want to die?
yeah, but it wasn't just that as well. It was like I remember being in the field because it was a beautiful summer 2020, and I was in a field and I had my top off, taps off, and it was like, and I was sitting there with my bottle of vodka, and I was just like smoking a fag, and I was like, what am I doing? And I just felt so alone and empty that I was just sitting in this field, just crying my eyes out. Do you know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
like, and I'd already had like I did a detox myself when I came over here because we had to isolate from the COVID when I moved into my parents' house. So I did a 2 weeks detox then, and then again I went back out and started drinking again. So even though I'd done that, because I was heavily withdrawn each time I did it at that point,
I was going
and
to say you must have been affected on those
oh
times.
yeah. But I was just broken, Adrian. I was just broken. And when you went back to when you were told like the doctors give you those 2 bits of news, how did you give up the booze at that point? Because you must have been close to withdrawal points as well. You must have
Well,
been
I was.
ending
There
it.
was a. I so the first sort of 2 days
Mm,
was it was a bit weird because I was away with Bad Manners, so I was on stage,
yeah,
and you get a lot of adrenaline being on stage and a lot of things, and it wasn't until I got back, and then on the Tuesday, so that was on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The Wednesday, I went to see a lady called Claire Robbins, who was absolutely. Luckily she was the alcohol counsellor in Islington. I was living at the time, so I went in and they said, "Oh, Claire can actually see you today if you want to see her." I was like, "Yeah." They said, "You're very lucky. She's wonderful." And so I go in, and she's got blue hair, and she's probably like, I don't know. She seemed older at the time, but she was probably only mid-50s or something. And I walked in, and she said, "All right." She said, "I'm Claire." She said, "You're Adrian Cox, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." She said, "Don't worry." She said, "I've Googled you." She said, "I love all the bands you've worked with and stuff like that." She's like,
love
she
it.
said, "Come on, tell me what it's like going out for a drink with you. Go on, tell me what it's like on a night out with you."
Yeah,
And so then I started talking to her, going, "Oh, well, fucking hell, this, da, da, da." You're just going, "Oh, yeah, well, start off with a few drinks here, da, da," and then next thing you know, it's Sunday. Do you know what I mean? We can party there. She's like, "Oh my God, it must be crazy on the road with Bad Manner, like, and with all this and that, and the
yeah,
jazz world. And she literally spoke to me as it was, like, "Hey, what is your life like?" Not someone going, "Hey, everything you've done up to now has been shit. Now we're gonna like you fucked everything." She literally just wanted to get, "What's it like?" And I said, "Yeah." And after about 15 minutes of chatting to her, 20 minutes talking about it, she was like, "Right, we're not really here to talk all about that." She said, "But I just wanted to hear a bit of,
yeah,
she said, I can see the smile in your face." She said, "I can see you." She said, "Right." She said, "But what we've got now is, you're going to be struggling. You got and she said, "Well done." She said, "How long since you've had a drink?" And I said, "Well, actually, it's been 6 days." And I was actually all right. I was okay.
yeah,
The worst day of it all had been because the Wednesday had been my big night out.
yeah.
The Wednesday had been the big night out.
Then
Thursday,
yeah,
I thought I was dying all day, and I managed to get through the night on the Thursday night. Then the Friday morning, I go to the doctors. So,
so
and
you just did
then
a cold turkey detox then, yeah,
yeah, literally, yeah.
yeah,
But pretty much, it was that was happening. I was having 2 days, 2 days a month like that, where I really thought that I was
yeah.
pegging out,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
every kind of, I would say every kind of 5 to 6 months, I'd go for a drink. I would start smelling a bit metallic,
Yeah,
right? And and I had a hospital outfit that I'd wear. So it was a Ben Sherman shirt with poppers, so it'd be easy to get open for the ECG. And then like these just kind of more linen-y type trousers and slip-on shoes. So I'd go out on the piss in the area near the hospital that I would check into. So it's like I'd go into like Chelsea and Westminster, or go out round, wherever the hospital was.
Just because you thought, I'm going to get checked into a decent hospital and they'll look after me. Yeah.
And literally, I remember all the moments of getting in there and then being in there, and all the time and when they got me on a drip and giving me, because I'd have pains in my kidneys and stuff, and then I would be, and when I would talk to them at that moment, like I really meant everything at the moment of I am going to stop. And they'd prescribe me Valium for the come down. They'd put me on Valium. They'd put a reducing dose because I was, pretty bad. And they said, and then there was the time before I did stop. They said, this is the last time that we do this now. Yeah. Put you on this reducing dose unless you show some kind of thing. But Claire Robbins, she was amazing because she, I saw her 3 or 4 times. She prescribed. What's the one? Disulfiram or whatever it is.
Oh, Librium.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the one that stops you drinking, or the one that brings the withdrawal down?
It's the one to stop you drinking.
So disulfiram's the one that makes you really ill if you drink.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to sign it. Yeah, disulfiram.
And you have to get your liver checked once a month, I think, because I had to do that. Just because it's really bad for you,
But I got it.
Yeah.
I got it, but she said, what have you got coming up that you think's going to... And it is... I never, ever took it. She prescribed it for me. Because I said, I've got this festival coming up. I've got this festival coming up. This festival. And she's like, do you think that you could be tempted? I said, well, I don't know. Yeah, probably. But I don't know. Hopefully I won't. But And she said... And that's when she prescribed that to me. But I never, ever took it.
I've drank on that. And it's not pretty.
How'd you get over that?
Oh, I thought I was going to die. Like the worst hangover ever. Like my heart was just bouncing out my chest. Like I thought I must have been. So this was way before I got sober. Like this was another time when I was drinking a lot. And then I said to my girlfriend at the time, like, yeah, I'm going to give up. And I started taking that. And it was to prove to her. But then I went out with some college mates and had some drinks. And I think I only had, well, it was probably the equivalent of like a half bottle of vodka. And then got the train home, and honestly, just I don't know why I didn't. I knew, like they told me, but I must have thought it can't be that bad. It fucking is.
It can't be.
It fucking is. Yeah. And then another time when I was on it, I reduced my dose because I knew I was going to be drinking like in a week's time. So I took myself off of it. And even after 5 days, I was like, I didn't get any of the effects like I did the time before, but my face was flushed. I didn't feel amazing, but I just drank through it. But I'd already taken off. I'd come off of it 5 days beforehand, and it still had that effect on me. So it's a dangerous thing.
Isn't it amazing how you can plan for everything in all of it? It's like I always said, I never ran out of drink. I never ran out of cigarettes. I never ran out of cocaine, ever. I planned for everything. However, everything else in my other part of my life, saying that, in the jazz world, I was still doing, big concerts, running my own band, doing that, still touring, setting up shows for Bad Manners, still doing all of that. And it's like the planning within us is like, it's an incredible thing, it's like, and I remember Claire saying to me, she said, if you put 1% into yourself that you put into meeting up with a dealer or meeting with a, it is unbelievable. And I look back at it now, and the further I'm away from it, it's fun. It's more that I'm now noticing more about myself because I'm getting that world of all of that, even though I'm still around that world all the time. That's the funny thing, is that I'm around everyone drinking, and I'll go on tour and everyone's drinking, staying up late. But the wonderful thing is, I just go to bed.
Yeah.
And what I suddenly realised is, no one cares if you're there or not. Or they do care, but at that moment when everyone's out getting drunk or doing whatever they're doing, they're not actually they'll go, oh, don't go. But the moment you walk away,
Yeah.
everyone just carries on. You know, it's like, and the amount of times I just thought to myself, God, why didn't you never regret just going to bed? It's like, why didn't I do that? And then the next day is wonderful because you get up,
you're
you have a
absolutely
wonderful.
fine. And they're like, what did I do last night? And you're like, well, I don't know after 11 o'clock because I'd gone by that time. And it's like, but
Exactly.
the thing is with me, like it took me a while before I started going out and socialise and when I met my...
I was going to say, after COVID and all of that, and of course being on the island as well, it's like...
Yeah, but a lot of the people that I knew when I moved here, because I'd lived here before years ago, but a lot of them had moved away since. So I had my family and then I had people from the meeting. So that was my core social kind of aspect. And then like I do a lot of photography, so I was doing markets with that. And that was a great kind of social hub for me. Again, all people that were like where I was seeing them and we go for coffees and things like that, there was no alcohol involved. Since meeting Jen, like a lot of her friends, as I said, musicians, and they've got the dancing world. So there's a lot of kind of boozy parties that we go to. And that was me kind of learning how to do that again. But again, it's fine because I'll have really meaningful chats and conversations. Well, I like to think they are at the beginning of the night. And then, like, as I say, Jen doesn't drink a lot. So we'll check out of there like at about 10, 11 o'clock, maybe 12. You know what I mean? And it's like, as you say, nobody cares. They're like, oh,
No.
They saw you at the beginning of the night. Like, they'd care if you didn't show up because, your anxiety levels were too much. And I'm like, I'm not coming out. People just give up asking you. They stop. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm getting more and more used to it. Like, we went to Morocco with the Manx dancing group that Jen's part of just about a month ago, not even that, 3 weeks ago. We went to Marrakesh and there was 68 of us there. And that was a huge learning curve for me. Like, and it's a non-drinking country, so I didn't see anyone drinking because they would go to restaurants and stuff, and we had the kids with us as well. But it was a massive social kind of like anxiety trigger for me. But I got through it, and I'm just like, right, I've done that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's still a learning curve for me. But I do enjoy going out. I always panic before I go out, and I'm like, oh my God, people are going to be drinking and this and that. But you know what? When I get there, it's absolutely fine.
Before is always worse.
Yeah.
And what I find, I find that I have these moments of. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what's weird here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not weird. It's only weird for me. It's that nobody here knows me from the old days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our friendship circle can come round, and also within the music, they don't know necessarily all the things that I do, or they've not heard of Bad Manners, or they've not heard of, or that. All right, yeah, I play clarinet. I'm Josephine's boyfriend. We are friends, and we sit and we chat and we have conversations. So all of those things for me are all my kind of, like, I put my things out on the table really quickly. Oh yeah, my name's hi, I'm Adrian. I'm I'm a drinker. I'll drink everybody under the table. I'll do this. I tour around. I've got all the best stories to tell you. We'll have a right laugh. If you want gear, you want to take drugs, you want to do that, we'll have a fucking great time. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Then there is sober me, like, oh, Adrian's cleaned everything up. Oh my God, do you remember him when he was like this? Now he's sober. Oh yeah, I'm Adrian. Yeah. Well, I'm in recovery. I've had a hip replacement of this. Yeah. I do that, but I still manage this band. I tour all over here and I play with these bands. Okay. Now it's like, all right, Adrian, how are you? Oh yeah, shit. Oh, what have you been up to? Oh well, actually, oh yeah. And what I found really, and it was my girlfriend, because who said to me, she was like, that people actually, they love you as you. I'm like, fucking hell, but I find it so hard. I can take a compliment on stage, someone going, oh my God, thanks for the concert tonight. Your music really touched me. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. And it genuinely does. It means everything. Yeah. But I have a persona of like, hey, but actually somebody saying to me like, oh my God, or my girlfriend giving me a compliment, I find it, I have to look the other way. I can't take it. And that's stuff I've been working on. And that's all stuff I've been working on. I'm realizing. And also now it's, if I recognise those feelings when we're out, or of that kind of like, actually, I feel really anxious. Like, my girlfriend's amazing. It's just, I'll just be like, oh, I don't really feel that great. Are we all right if we go? Yeah, of course. But do you know what? We like to be home and we like to be in bed by 8 o'clock. Yeah. And that's what we like here. And it's going to be weird now because I'm going off on tour next week I'm away for a month. and that's like
that's a long
on stage at 10 o'clock. But I'm thinking driving, like rather than be on the bus, I'm gonna
just do it, and then
hire
you
a
can go
car.
off and do your own thing when they're like hanging out in bed and feeling like
Literally,
shit.
and I've got to learn all this music for this next tour
Yeah.
that I've got coming up.
So if you're on
You
the
know-
bus, you've probably got PlayStations or whatever, I don't know, and it's like busy, it's
Well,
noisy. But
unfortunately, it's not as good on his bus, but he has got a nice new one actually. But it's it's that kind of thing of waiting around for people. Whereas I find my time very precious.
yeah,
And I'm
I
like-
get that. Yeah,
And I want that can sometimes be quite bad actually because I'm not very good at sitting still. I'm like kind of there's obviously some ADHD kind of thing happening as well, but I never say that like, oh yeah, there's probably that, because I don't just like to say that, but my brain cannot focus on I can write my list in the morning of stuff I need to do, and I say to myself, do not go over there and start doing that. And then within 10 minutes, I'm over there doing that. And I'm like, what am I doing? I told you not to do that. Why the hell did I? Now sit down. I listen to the worst music ever just to because I can't,
just to
I
clear your
listen to
head
horrible.
type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just so that I'm like, right, I've got this shit on. My girlfriend listened to my playlist once. She's like, what is that? I'm like, it's like really like horrible, like lo-fi, really. Like, that's how I can get into stuff. But once I'm into stuff, bang, I'm a machine. It's the same with, I like to say the alcoholic addictive brain.
Yeah.
I'll flick the switch and the same thing. Often the important thing is that I always say to people who, when I speak to people about recovery is, don't see it as, having this addictive thing as being a downside. It's because I'll tell you what, the thing that got me pissed and whatever I was taking and everything, that thing is the thing that is keeping me sober.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's a very philosophical way of saying it, because it's like,
Going the other way.
I think of it as a superpower that I've got sober, because
Oh man.
like I was 40 when I got sober, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting sober at 50 or 60, do you know what I mean? But I'm so glad I've done it now, because now I know that I'm never going to drink again. I'm not like just white
I
knuckling
believe
it.
that is. I got goosebumps when you said that.
But it's like,
Oh man, that's so good. But just hearing you say that, knowing I'm never going to drink again, I've just got like full down me, like, yeah.
Like, don't get me
Exactly.
wrong, for the first couple of years when I was doing AA and stuff like that, and NA, and it was like one day at a time and never say never and all that, I'm like, yeah, but fuck that now, because I know, like, fuck alcohol, fuck big alcohol, I'm done with that, and I have no interest in doing any of that stuff. Like, I was speaking to people the other day, and they were like, oh, if only there was a magic pill where you could go out and drink, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I am done with it.
That's someone who's not dealing with the thing.
Yeah. So I'm just like, you know what? My life is so much better. Like, I've got a beautiful wife. I've got 3 amazing stepkids. I've got my family back, like my mother and father back in my life, like my brother and his kids. And it's like, and it's all down to.
But you look so well, and your eyes are so bright. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like, and it's conversations like this. It's like, we don't know each other, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like in that, in-depth way, but we know everything about each other.
Oh,
immediately.
absolutely. We're kindred spirits, Adrian. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, I feel like I've known you for years, because we've come on the first time we're speaking tonight, and yeah, we had a little chat beforehand, but like, you know what I mean? It's just been flowing, and I love it. And that's
But we had a little chat beforehand, like we've known each other forever.
exactly where we're straight into it.
Like, oh yeah, I've actually did it. Oh, did I tell you that this did it? And that's the thing is, actually, if you're just honest and open, there's nothing to hide, and nothing.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, a lot of people. I'm learning. I've learned so much this year. AA has been a total life sentence to me, and I'll tell you what's great. So in Sweden, I was looking for AA meetings, and it was really hard to find, because they, even though it is within AA, they have a different website, so it doesn't come up on the for looking for meetings on the one. Anyway, so I found one. There's one in the next town. So I go to it, and there's like 6 or 7 people. It's tiny. We live in the middle of nowhere. It's wonderful. And I walked in, and I was just like, oh my God, here's my people. And they're all over 70, but there's my people. They're all fucking sat there in this dedicated club, like clubhouse. And I walk in, and I was like, all right, my name's Adrian. I said, I understand bits of Swedish. I don't speak Swedish, but I'm here. They were just like, oh, wonderful. Everyone speaks English here. But,
yeah.
but then immediately there was an old guy chatting there, and he was speaking in Swedish, and he looked at me. He said, "Hey, English." He said, "I'm just telling everybody why I'm still here and how I'm still here, and it is." He said, "For me," he said, "one day at a time." He said, "And every day's wonderful." And he said, "It's all these little sayings, all these little things. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Do the next right thing.
Yeah.
It's
Clean up
like
your side of the street. All these little things, all these little mantras.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love
the
that.
Serenity Prayer. It's incredible.
Adrian, my mum, when I got my mum and dad, when I was sober, I think it was for either my second year or my third year. You probably can't see it, so it's a little weird.
You'll have to go to your left, I think.
Have to go to the camera. I'll take it off. So basically, they gave me this on my second or third year sober, and it's two little hands clasped.
Yeah, I got it like that.
And then on the other side is the Serenity Prayer.
Serenity Prayer.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, and I still hold that dear. I don't go to the meetings anymore, but I'm still so steeped in the recovery world that it's like, I know they're there if I need them, but I'm doing other stuff, and that's it.
Well,
and
that's it. I think it's with all respect. That's it to it, and I find myself even here like going, oh yeah, oh great. There's not many meetings here. It's like, oh yeah, I can go this Friday, or I can go on whatever day, and then I suddenly find myself I'm somewhere else doing something, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Isn't that wonderful that I'm here picking up the boy from the gym or taking him to a friend's house? Isn't that great that I'm sat in the car that I bought this year?
Yeah.
The fucking car that I bought this year.
Drive not illegally, or off your head.
Exactly. I've got a driving license. I live in Sweden. I'm driving in Sweden. My first car's a bloody left-hand drive car. I'm like, what? This is mad.
Is that Saab?
No, I got myself a Mitsubishi Outlander.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, so tell me, Adrian, do you regret getting sober, mate?
No.
No.
Tell me someone you've met who said that.
No, I've yet to come across. I still ask it every time on the podcast, but
I'll tell you what, mate. Anyone who says they regret getting sober hasn't really started the process.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, when I think, and just talking to you now about just condensing it all into that little pockets of things, I could see, as I was saying it, there's little bits of like, even to you, who I know has been through it all as well. It's when I hear bits, when you just said, I was sat on the field with a bottle of vodka, it's like, to me, that's like, because I wasn't the kind of person who would have a bottle. I wasn't the vodka type, the spirits type.
Yeah.
I was more the kind of always socializing, always, right, I'll go to the party, I'll bring the party. But, when I look back at it and like, I just hear when someone's, when you talk about recovery and someone talks about, you feel the similarities of the things, but also you still get amazed by other people's stories. And it's like, oh shit. Wow, shit! I'll say. So you got to this point by taking that route within that, and all of this, and it's such an amazing thing. But the sobriety thing brings us all back together.
Yeah, we're just one tribe of people in recovery. It doesn't matter how you got here, whether you went AA, smart, didn't do any meetings but read a book, or just white knuckled it and then realized, you know what, this is the best thing I've ever done, and now I'm okay.
Yeah.
However way you get sober, getting sober is just this revelation of, and do you know what? And I'm like, this is why I do the podcast, because I don't just want to speak to people like you that were as bad as you or as bad as me. I've had a couple of people on here that were not even grey area drinkers, but they gave it up because they didn't want that lifestyle anymore. I think the more and more people that are turning away from alcohol, because what is it? It's a massive, big legal drug dealing corporation. That's what it is.
Well, if it was invented now, it would be illegal.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, it's carcinogenic. Like, what the fuck? Why is there no warnings on like there is on cigarettes, but there's not on bottles? Just says drink responsibly.
I mean, I always remember talking to sober Dave about that, and he was just like, Yeah, buy your mum a bottle of champagne, or why not buy your mum a packet of Marlboro Reds?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
both will get you to a shithole in the end. You know,
well,
it's
funny, that whole thing. You know, my mum said they used to. I think she still does it now, and I'm like, you need to be careful with that. Like, you know, the bin men at the Christmas time, she'll buy them like, you know, pack of Stella or whatever, and I'm like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
buy them fags. Maybe you would have in the old days, but I'm like, you need to be careful with that because those beers could be enough to set one of them off back down the path. And
Yeah.
I don't think she does it anymore, but it's like it's the go-to
It's funny
present
because
for
you don't
everything,
know
isn't it?
what that can do to someone, because even that you don't know how that it changes someone's life. You know, just having that as a gift, because it's not a gift. I don't really see it as a gift, giving someone
Poison.
and it's like, but you know, but then you have to remember, you have to kind of, it's just, you sort of wish that everyone could kind of see this world.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it matters how much you drink. Like, it's like, as I said, you know, I've learned about moderating of drinking, and I've spoke to my sponsor about this. You know, watching people who do actually have a glass of wine with food and go, oh, that's lovely, and then not have a fucking drink for 6 weeks. It's like, okay, right, that's something. But like you said, never associated around those kind of people. I would never be in this situation now if I wasn't sober.
No.
But I spoke to my sponsor about it, and I was saying, you know, I said, he said, look, you would never have ever been happy. That's the drink you're having isn't the drink you want.
Yeah.
You know, and there's, you know, that's not the drink you want. If there was a bottle, it's the one you want. The one you want's at the bottom, and then it's the next. You know, and he said, you're never ever. He said, other people don't drink like we do. Yeah. He said, you know, they're like, when he means like we do, he means like us.
Yeah. The problem drinkers. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, other people, and he said they would never understand that, and you can't explain that to some people
because they're like, why can't you just give up? And I'm like,
yeah,
you know, like, if it was easy as that, I wouldn't have, you know, I wouldn't be going to meetings and doing a podcast about it.
You know, I had that with the gambling. You know, people said to me, "Oh, well, I would have stopped at 20 grand." I said, "Well, you wouldn't have ever got to 20 grand."
Yeah,
I was always going to win that money.
Yeah,
I was always going to spend it as well. I was always going to win that money because I was never going to fucking stop.
No.
You know, I would have gambled my whole life until I'd won it and gone, yeah, I won, now spend it all, you know. Yeah. And, you know, so I think, and I did that with drinking and with everything I took. It was never enough. Nothing was ever enough, and just keep. But now I'm learning that, you know, and it's all things, I mean, you can't have any regrets, but there are parts of me that go, fucking hell, wish I'd worked this one out a bit earlier.
I just wished I'd learned to be a bit more mature earlier on, because I don't feel like I really matured until I got sober, you know. Like, yeah, I was a mature person and I'd do things and I was an adult and I was adulting and all that, but it was all a bit of a facade, you know what I mean? Because all I was thinking about was like, right, when can I go and get off my face, you know? And that's kind of what...
you do enough to kind of put it, you do enough to fool people.
Yeah. People from the outset, I'm a man, so, you know, I've got a beard. It's like, of course you're a man and you're an adult and you're mature, but actually inside, no, do you know what? I was just like a scared little kid that was just getting off his head, you know?
Well, that's the thing that's literally what I realised going back now, looking back all this time where I've said, oh, I'll tell you what it was. I fucking hate thunder and lightning, right? And I remember being 16. I still hate it. My granddad and his mate were out, and his mate got killed and struck by. So when people go, oh yeah, thunder and lightning can't really hurt you.
Yeah, it can. Well, yeah.
That's my granddad at the time. I never met my granddad, but his mate died from it.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I remember going, I remember going back to like when I was 16, like fucking hearing that, being extremely scared and worried, you know, and like no one to actually say that to.
Because everyone else would go, what are you doing? Well, that's stupid. Why are you being scared of something that's weather? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, and then like, you know, feeling sick, feeling ill, especially with a hangover, like not knowing what a hangover was really, you know, and being 15, 16, living, you know, going, why do I feel like shit? Why do I feel like this? Oh my God. And then my level of how healthy I felt. My God, I've just started doing some workouts recently. The last 3 days I've been doing work. And I'll tell you what, when you're sober, you feel the effects of shit immediately. Like, I feel so much better already 3 days on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, if you do any exercise, you immediately feel all right. You immediately feel good. You start to lose weight. You start to see it in the face. Change your diet slightly. Your body's at its peak to kind of go. You know, it's exciting. You know, I love it.
And it's so amazing to, yeah, I mean, you're looking amazing, Adrian. You really are. You're looking a beautiful man, and
right.
you know, and it's just so nice to see, because it's the eyes, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We just glow when we're like this, and it's, you know, you're what, 12 years nearly,
Yeah.
and it's just like I wouldn't change anything in the world, like, because you know, I don't have any regrets. The only thing I have is possibly like some emotional issues that I had with people. Do you know what I mean? Like upsetting them emotionally, like family and friends and things like that. But other than that, like, I had a good time, but I just kind of, you know, and I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I'd done it earlier. Or
No,
so
do you know what? You wouldn't, and that's the thing. It's my book's not here, but the meditation book today was the thing today was saying that, you know, troubles and joy come in equal measures. So sometimes, and it says like not one of them should be
Balanced.
stronger than the other.
Yeah.
But it's like, actually, but the happier that you are, it means that these harder times are easier to deal with, because you know, and it's like you're going along, and as long as you can accept it as a pathway to kind of, you know, to peace and happiness, you know, it's how you deal with it in the day. And it was nice. I've got this. I don't know why it's for women, but it's meditation for women. It's an old for old books. This lady gave it to me, and she said, she was like, "Have this." She said, "Don't worry, you know, we're all men, you know."
Yeah.
Women and men. She's like, "There you go." She said, "Read that." She said, and it's every day. It says, you know, you can, you know, and every day I read it, and it's wonderful. I start my day with it, and it's just. It's like happiness, you know, being a state of mind, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, there's going to be hardships that come up, and it's like, but nothing is going to be too hard for you to tackle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you've got the tools to deal with anything that comes up, and all it'll do is just make the happies happier. So you need to have a few troubles to make the happy, you know, otherwise happiness would become insipid.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you. You've got to have the bitter with the sweet. Adrian, have you got any recommendations for a book, a podcast, or a film to do with recovery?
I'll tell you, there's a book. It's one of the AA books.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Drop the Rock, and it's about seven. It's about steps 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And it's saying that people never really do. They're the kind of ones that people. About step 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And it says it's there's 2 steps that people in AA go, no, I am willing to, you know, being willing. And regardless of whether you're doing AA or not, there's some wonderful, how everything's put is really, really nice. It gives lots of stories.
Yeah.
And that are so relatable, and the book is not very long. Every day, you know, you can go into it and read a bit from it, and everything is so nice. It's called Drop the Rock. It's brilliant.
Who's it by?
And it starts off.
I'll find it. Don't worry. Yeah, I'll find it.
You will.
I'll put it in the
Where is it?
notes.
Yeah, find it and put it in the. It's downstairs from my other stuff. Put it in. Yeah, put it in the thing, and also. Yeah, that's all. I've just found that has been a really good one, and also one I haven't read but I'm looking forward to reading is Anthony Hopkins' book. Apparently, he's talking a lot. He's talking. There's some nice bits, and I always listen to his chair that he does on YouTube. I don't know if you've got that.
Do you know what? I listen to snippets because I think and he'd be either 47 or 48 years sober coming up at New Year, because I think it's the 1st of January is his sober date.
1st of January, yeah.
So he does a little thing and he puts it out on the 1st of January. And what
if you listen to his on YouTube, like it's like a 47-minute his sharing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. I saw his book the other day in the shop, and I need to get it because I put it in Audible. I listen to it when I'm at work, so I'll try and I hope he's narrating it, but that'll be good. Yeah,
because I want to get hold of that. That's not one that I've read, but it's one that I want to. That's one that I want to read. I think it'd be good.
No, I'll put that on as well. Adrian, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like, you know, I know we feel like we've known each other for years, but like you know, I've been following you for years, but it's just been so nice to chat to you and hear your story, mate. And
Yeah, and you, man.
I know it's going to help so many people. So, you know, that's the whole reason we do this and share it.
Well, that's the thing. We're all here, aren't we? We're all, you know, you've got to keep showing up in the world and putting out your best. You know, that as my sponsor is 30 years sober, you know, and he goes to meetings 2 or 3 times a week. And there was a week where he didn't went, or a little time where he didn't go for a little bit. And he said to me, he said, "Oh, I've been glad I've been able to get back to meetings." He said, because he said, I get so much from showing up and knowing that if I'm still there, it's going to be helping someone else. So, you know, everything that you're doing and all of this and just showing up in the world, you know, it just means that, you know, if someone just Googles something and finds something online and this comes up, I've had people message after I've done after I did one with Sober Dave, you know, and
That's where I heard you, mate. That's where
and someone was like, I was doing they were like, oh, we were looking for where I was playing, where I was doing a gig, and it came up, and they'd put in a couple of things, you know, and up I came there, and they said, "Oh, we listened to that," and they were like, "Oh my God, we've got to come." Oh, we listened, you know, and so people, you know, I think we're out there trying to be as best as we can and putting out good stuff. I mean,
without a doubt, mate. And I enjoy doing it. Do you know what I mean? This is just like kind of a little kind of not hobby, but do you know what I mean? I enjoy doing it. I enjoy speaking to like-minded people.
So nice.
Yeah, I just love doing it, and it's like, you know, as I say, I've been doing it for a year now, and it's just been growing from strength to strength. So I can't wait to see what next year brings, or this year.
Oh man, well, make sure you keep doing it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, mate. Because this thing is, I know a lot of people do it, and they start and they go, oh, you know, and they don't become Joe Rogan straight away. And I'm not planning on doing that, but I don't want to give up because I only had like 10 listeners last week. Do you know what I mean? That's not the case.
Oh my God,
you know,
it's. I always say this with music, you know, with jazz and things. You know, people put together a product and they go out, they do a gig, and you know, and they're like, "Oh, well, it was rubbish. There was only like 20 people turned up." Yeah, so I just left straight away. I'm like, they were the 20 people that did turn up.
Yeah,
like
that's the ones that matter.
Everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there was only 20 of them. Did you get all their names? Did you get their numbers? Like, oh my God, thanks for being here. This is great. Hey, come on, let's all sit round. You know, just make it like, and then like I was like, come on, you know, that I was saying to my friend, I was like, that's not a bad thing. That is your audience.
Yeah.
And then, well, you know, that if you're doing it for the other reasons, like, oh yeah, well I only got 20 people. Maybe that's your audience, you know.
And that is, and I know it's a niche industry and you know, a topic of podcast or whatever, but that is the people that I'm aiming it for. And if there's a few other people that are moderators or don't have a problem with drink, but they give up because they hear the stories, then even better. You know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? If people can just see that a little bit and just you know, it gives them something to cling on to.
Yeah, and go, why am I drinking? Why am I putting a carcinogenic poison into my body every weekend?
Exactly.
You know, why am I doing that? Yeah. But yeah. No, thank you, Adrian. It's been an absolute honour, mate, and a pleasure.
You're so welcome, Jimmy.
And enjoy the rest of your evening, mate. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, we'll do, mate. Nice one. Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers, mate. You too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Adrian. Amazing having Adrian on the podcast and, you know, just getting to know him, listening to his story, and what a story. You know, you have to kind of hear it to believe it. But, you know, having, you know, given up alcohol in 2014, but then to kind of, you know, think, well, I'm not allowed to do that, but I'm going to do cocaine. And then having to stop that after the kind of gambling thing with, you know, bust a blood vessel, and to then think, well, I'm not allowed to do that because he's going to, you know, kick me out, disown me if I take another, you know, line of cocaine. To then move on to MDMA and think that's okay. But this is what it does. You know, we think, well, if I can't do that, but I'm going to push it out with something else, you know. But amazing. Well done, Adrian. And, you know, being 12 years sober from alcohol and, you know, number of years clean from everything else. But, you know, as Adrian said, it wasn't till, you know, even recently he was doing all the work, but he wasn't doing the work on himself. He was literally, you know, not I'm not going to say he was a dry drunk, because he wasn't that at all. He was improving his life and doing all these things, but he hadn't learned to find that balance between, you know, being sober and clean, and then, having to, live a normal life and get everything in order. Like we say, keep your side of the street clean. Yeah, just an amazing story. And I know this is going to help a lot of people. And if you're listening to this and it's going to help someone, please share it with people, let people know. Just copy the link and put it out there. Thanks guys for listening, and like, subscribe, share, put a 5-star review. Any questions or anyone that you think needs to be on the podcast, send me a message, and hopefully we'll get them on. I'm thinking I'm nearly kind of got everyone lined up for season 3 now. So just a case of recording them all and then getting them out to you guys. I get to the point where I'm like, I want to start releasing 2 a week, but I'm not doing that yet because I like it being one a week. If I do 2 a week, then I've got to kind of get more people in. So this is good. We'll do season 4. That'll be the second half of the year, but I think we're kind of tied up for pretty much until June now. So it's going well, guys, and thank you for everyone that's listening, giving me great feedback, and and telling me that these stories are helping you, because I know they're helping me. I spoke with Alex Lee yesterday, and she said to me, that episode will be out in a couple of weeks, but she said to me, these are like our meetings, like coming on and doing a podcast and speaking to you, speaking to other people. It's like having our own little personal meeting. So I'm just glad that everyone else can, kind of listen in or watch on YouTube and take a lot from it. So until next week, guys, stay safe, stay sober, and stay supportive. Cheers. Peace. Love you all. Bye-bye.